Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the week that was in pro wrestling. So that's going to be AEW Dynamite, Title Tuesday, and NWA Power. A very mixed bag of a show. A couple of shows. I'll get into it. Don't you worry. Starting with AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday. So, Dynamite this week actually was on Tuesday to make room for MLB playoffs. So, this is the time that happens. So, we're probably going to see more of this coming soon. So, that is why this is on a Tuesday. We start off with a Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe, face-to-face in the ring. Hangman comes out first to one of the biggest reactions I've ever heard. And then Joe comes out second. He is initially joined by Katsuyori Shibata and Powerhouse Hobbs. Joe then turns to him, kind of shoos them away. So they walk backstage, Joe gets in the ring, and Hangman starts us off saying, there has been 6 years of Dynamite. I have been all over this show, and in the 6 years I've won, lost, I've committed arson. I'm pretty sure someone proposed to me. If you don't remember, John Silver of the Dark Order did that, I want to say it was in the 3rd year of Dynamite, so definitely some interesting history. Hangman continues, I haven't been as confused when you had problems with me last week. I volunteered to help you against the Death Riders, even though I was done with them. Then you freak out and cheap shot me. And then, when I looked over to you, you said to me, you never beat me. You saw me with the AEW title and decided you wanted it. You're angry with yourself. Well, you'll get your chance at WrestleDream because I owe you one. You stepped up at All In to even the odds and versus the Death Riders to make sure I get this. And without your help, I wouldn't be champion right now. But at WrestleDream, I won't let you take this from me. So, very nice opening promo from Hangman Adam Page. Then this is Joe, Samoa Joe. When he says, everything this man says is true, but I'm here to talk some uncomfortable truths. I don't see the pinnacle of wrestling when I see you as AEW champion. I see a pretender. You come out week after week with the Ops' help. I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner. But with that AEW World Champion, you become my prime target. You call yourself a fighting champion. I processed opportunity, and now I'm here to collect what's owed. And at WrestleDream, I'm gonna beat, break, and torture you. Which, damn. And that moment, I have you in the rear naked choke. I'm gonna knock you out and take your title. And I'm going to show you what a real world champion is. Joe then starts to leave, but Hangman grabs the microphone, rips it out of his hands, and says, I'm a pretender to you? The proof doesn't stand on your opinion of me. The proof is when the bell rings, and with every shot you give me, I'll give you 2 back. You can't outlast me. The end of the match, I hope you bring that same energy you did at All In, and know I'm the champion of the world. it is so astonishing how good Hangman Adam Page is on the mic. Like, he's that dang good. And y'all need to put some more respect on Hangman. So next we go backstage with the conglomeration. So that's Willow Nightingale, Tomohiro Ishii. I don't think Hologram's there, but Kyle O'Reilly's there. And then just off screen, boom, Mark Briscoe shows up. And he says, the word of the day is multi-conglomerate. The conglomeration has a big week ahead of us. But tonight, we got Kyle versus Kyle 2. Fletcher versus Kyle O'Reilly. And no, you despise anyone named Kyle. Cassidy is back, ready to go. You're going to take on Pac later tonight. Oh, Orange Cassidy is there too. Why do I forget Cassidy? And then also tonight, Big Tom takes on Jon Moxley. We're all going to be dropping bombs. You ready to go? So Mark Briscoe puts his hand in. Kyle files suit. Ishii, a little hesitant. Willow's in. And then Orange Cassidy lays his palm up, which I love that. But then also Roderick Strong, who is kind of off Kyle O'Reilly's side, he just kind of looks at them with a bewildered look on their face. So they all walk off. Strong kind of sticks around for a second. As we go into our first matchup of the evening, we had Jon Moxley taking on Tomohiro Ishii. And oh boy, did they beat 7 Shades of Dynamite of one another. Like, I remember the first time these two guys had a match, and they just chopped each other a heck. And that obviously continues here. One point we get Shafir grabbing Ishii while Moxley had the referee distracted. Moxley locking in a figure 4, which I don't think I've ever seen him do. But Ishii gets in the ropes. Moxley with like a, not really a fishhook, but like a nose rake, which is very, very strange looking. Moxley with a Ishii with a big old brain buster, whiffs on the low clothesline. Moxley looks to lock in the Bulldog choke. Ishii gets out of it with a suplex. Combination clothesline, bunch of big strikes, and then a powerbomb for a 2 count. Ishii attempts the brainbuster, that gets blocked. They trade big boots and clotheslines, which, that was impressive. Moxley attempts the paradigm shift, that gets blocked. Into a bunch of elbows, and then a clothesline. Ishii looks to lock in a weird looking crossface, which I don't think I've ever seen him do that. But Moxley gets out of it by biting Ishii on the arm, which, effective. Ishii attempts another clothesline that misses. Moxley hits a paradigm shift for a 2 count. And then immediately locks in the Bulldog choke until Ishii passes out. For your winner, Jon Moxley. And honestly, I'm okay with Moxley winning here. Ishii, he's a really old vet at this point. But honestly, that was a heck of a good match. I'm wondering what Ishii's going to be doing for Wrestle Dream, because I think he needs to be on the card. So next up, we go to a backstage interview with the Young Bucks, who are vigorously banging on Tony Khan's door. saying like, we're busy, we need some money. So then they turn to the interviewer saying, look, we got some front row seats to see what Jurassic Express is all about. Which, that's weird. Have they never had a match in AEW before? Because that would be very strange. Anyway, next. An absolutely beautiful hype video. Excuse me. For a Chris Statlander, Tony Storm Wrestle Dream match, which that was unbelievably cool. Then we get a video recap of the War of the Words from Collision between Tony Storm and Chris Statlander, where they both lay in the ring promoting each other, which that was funny. Until they got attacked by the Triangle of Madness, which we'll see what goes down there. We then get a small rundown for this week's Collision, which is actually a joint 3-hour joint show on Wednesday. Because, hey, it's pay-per-view weekend. So, yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how this goes. We then get a trios street fight. So it's 3-on-3. No DQ, no rules. It's The Demand, which is Tono Leona, Bishop Khan, and Ricochet, taking on Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin of the Hurt Syndicate. And now The Demand, they got some brand new t-shirts, which those look awesome. They're absolutely dressed for a street fight. Hurt Syndicate come out in almost full suits. They got the jackets, the slacks, but you can tell they're wearing undershirts and no tie. So, it does look a little weird. Hurt Syndicate then, disrobe. At least take off their jackets. And they immediately just beat the heck out of each other. Like, they brawl on the ramp for a bit. They put each other, they take out kendo sticks, garbage cans, bunch of table spots. There was this one spot where Khan and Leona were brawling with the 3 members of the Hurt Syndicate. Ricochet then runs off the stage onto this little lip of where the audience is sitting. Hits a gigantic dive off of that lip, which that was awesome. I'm gonna say this: Bishop Khan and Bobby Lashley had the greatest chemistry in this match, continually trying to put each other through tables. One point, Gates of Agony had MVP set up for open the gates, but Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley took care of them. Shelton Benjamin with some super kicks. Big old knee. Bobby Lashley goes for a powerbomb that gets blocked with Toa Leona and Bishop Khan with chair shots. Lashley with a big spear to Ricochet. Another one to Bishop Khan. One more to Toa Leona. Toa then gets up, attempts a Samoan drop, that gets blocked into a spinebuster through the table from Shelton Benjamin. Lashley then with a big old Uranagi, a suplex through the table in the ring to pick up the win for his team. So, I'm wondering what the Hurt Syndicate and the the Demand are going to be doing for Wrestle Dream. Apparently, they already got a match set up for that, which honestly, I'd never say no to. But yeah, that street fight was absolutely awesome. Then we get the Don Callis family interview. It's just Don, Okada, and Takeshita. I think Kyle Fletcher's in there too. No, it's just Don Callis and Fletcher. Saying, Fletcher, he took out all your favorites, including Ibushi and Omega. Kyle O'Reilly has named himself after Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher is your uncrowned AEW champion. And Okada and Takeshita, you beat the champions here tonight. They win at Wrestle Dream, and the Don Callis family will hold all the gold. So I'm going to go over this right now. So later on in the evening, it's going to be Brodito, who are the tag team champions. That's going to be Brody King and Bandito take on Okada and Takeshita. Now, if either member of Brodito pin either member of the Callis family, they get a shot at Wrestle Dream for Okada's unified title. But if Okada and Takeshita win, they get tag team title shots at Wrestle Dream, which it's definitely a little bit confusing, but I like stipulations like this. So next up, we got Jurassic Express making their pro wrestling return. Their in-ring return, taking on Orion and some other dude. I did not catch the other dude's name. They are enhancement talent. Orion and Jack Perry start up. Jack Perry pretty much destroys Orion. But then we see, in the crowd, sitting next to a couple of kids, which I'll admit, little creepy, it's Matt and Nick. The Young Bucks are in the nosebleeds, which, I mean, they're sitting stage side at the top, which that's not exactly the nosebleeds, especially in what arena is this? I forget. In Jacksonville. Perry then tags in Luchasaurus, big old clothesline, a front-facing suplex, big old super kick. Then Perry attempts to remove the turnbuckle pad, which was weird. Luchasaurus tags in Perry, big old hip toss, 2 drop kicks, which leads us to the Extinction event, which is like Luchasaurus powers his opponent over into a powerbomb by Jack Perry to pick up the win. And as Jurassic Express are celebrating, Young Bucks come down from their seats and just immediately brawl with Jack Perry and Luchasaurus. It looked like Luchasaurus was about to pretty much overpower both Bucks. Low blow, BTE trigger, super kicks all around. Then the Bucks pick up some microphones, with Matt saying, "Hey Perry, in the wrestling business, this is called a callback. And at Wrestle Dream, it's going to be Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks." So they drop their microphones, hit the TK driver on Jack Perry, where the segment ends. So, yeah, fun little squash match. I don't mind it at all. But that challenge for Wrestle Dream is going to be very, very interesting. God damn it. Come on. because it then becomes official and it becomes one of the $2,000 challenge matches, which is that's going to be funny. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Then we see in the parking lot, Daly's Place. That's the name of the arena. So we have the Death Riders. They're out in the parking lot somewhere, with Mox kind of pacing a little, saying, "Get in there, Pac." So Pac steps forward, says, "Yo, tangerine balls," which is a great insult, by the way. This match is nothing personal. I just look to what whet my appetite. I'm not just going to wrestle you. I'm going to look to the future. If the Death Riders are going to... No, this is Yuta now chiming in, saying, if the Death Riders are going to elevate AEW, we got to cut the fat. And then that leads to Daniel Garcia getting in, saying, I see nothing but losers walking around the locker room. You got to want to win, because that's what winners do. Okay. What? I hope they got some kind of plan for Yuta and Garcia. Because right now they're just looking like minions a bit. Anyway, next up we got Kyle versus Kyle 2, as Kyle O'Reilly challenges Kyle Fletcher for the TNT title. And this was pro wrestling at its absolute purest form. Everyone, both Kyles had a counter for everything. My one issue with the match isn't with the match itself, though. It is with the crowd, who the last time they AEW had this match, we heard tons of "We want Kyle," that chants, which was hilarious. We didn't really get that here. Like, it kind of happened by the end-ish, but yeah, this was definitely an interesting matchup, with Fletcher countering out of pretty much everything Kyle O'Reilly was throwing at him, including an ankle lock. Fletcher fights out of it, hits the sheer drop brainbuster, hits another kick, hits another brainbuster for Kyle Fletcher to retain. And then we see all of a sudden Lance Archer and Rocky Romero get in the ring. This brings out the conglomeration, who gets the Callis family out of the ring. More of the Callis family come out, and they just fight with the conglomeration for a bit. This brings out Mark Briscoe to make the save. He runs out the Don Callis family, except for one, Kyle Fletcher. They have a little stare down. Both men's hands on the TNT title. Then Fletcher pulls it back and leaves the ring, which goes to set up our next segment with a Kyle Fletcher backstage interview. Don Callis is with him. I think Rocky Romero is also with him, where it's revealed that Mark Briscoe is getting another shot at the TNT title. And Fletcher says, I know any day I have Briscoe's number. You come and get me. So, yeah, that was a fun little segment setting up a Wrestle Dream match. And next up, we got the Open Challenge for the TBS title. You got now 10 belts, Monet. That's right, Mercedes Monet has 10 belts from different promotions. And her opponent, making her AEW debut, it is Lacey Lane. If you don't recognize that name, she went by Kaden Carter in the WWE, former tag team champion with Katana Chance. And I'm going to say this. The start of this match was a little awkward. Looks like Lane was a little out of practice, maybe. I'm not sure how much wrestling she's done since getting released from WWE. But eventually it did pick up, including Lane with a code breaker into a heat seeker, which usually that's an MJF move, only it's a 2 count. Monet with the Three Amigos suplexes, attempts the frog splash. Lane gets her knees up. Lane then with a bunch of super kicks, big old knee, and then a code breaker into a power bomb. Monet goes for her Meteora in the corner, whiffs. Lane with a leg drop, which that was impressive. And then a flatliner for a 2. Goes for the Death Valley Driver leg drop again. That gets blocked. Monet with a roll up for a 2 count. Monet with the Monet Maker for the win. And I'm going to say these, by the end, these two were pulling out all the stops. It was a really good match, although it did fall. I'm not going to say it fell short, but it felt like something more could have happened in this match. And also we could have had, another women's match. Instead, we get a Sammy Guevara promo, who's talking to Eddie Kingston, who just survived Dralistico. On this coming Wednesday, on Collision, you are facing the Beast Mortis. So say adios to your family, because you're done. That then cuts to a separate Eddie Kingston promo, who said, I beat Dralistico because of you. I'll beat Mortis because of you. I will see you guys on Saturday. So Eddie Kingston back in action. Cannot wait. In a kind of a dream match against the Beast Mortis. That's going to be an interesting clashing of the styles, which is always good. So next up, it's a kind of winner-take-all match where we got the tag team champions in Brodito, so that's Bandito and Brody King, against the Don Callis families, Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada. And like I said earlier, if any of Brodito pins the Callis family, that member gets a title shot at the undisputed title at WrestleDream. If either member of the Don Callis family pin Brodito, both of them get tag team title shots. And this was a very interesting dynamic because you had Bandito selling his shoulder from his match with Hensha Zero on CMLL's 92nd anniversary show. But then you also got the can they coexist side with Takeshita and Okada. And at any time Brody King comes in, he just cleans the clock of either man he's in the ring with. At one point, you see Takeshita going for the big knee, power drive knee. Okada tags himself in. Attempts the roll up, only gets a 2 count. Bandito with the X knee. Attempts the 21 plex, that gets blocked. Takeshita with the big knee to Brody King. Okada with the Rainmaker to pick up the win for the Callis family, who now have tag team title shots at Wrestle Dream. So then we get Brody King checking on Bandito, like the good friend he is. Then we get a kind of video promo from Jet Speed and Willow Nightingale. With Willow saying, "It blows my mind that the best team in wrestling needs help. I love people who stand up to bullies, and the top guys really aren't on top. You always take the low road. It's not a big surprise. It's going to be 3-on-3 on Collision, and Stoke, get yourself another suit. Top guys down." Which then leads to a separate FTR video promo with Stokely taking the lead, saying, "I do respect Jet Speed a bit, but I don't respect Willow. Dax would have beaten Kevin Knight if not for Willow, and I got some bad bitches who hate Willow just as much." Initially, I thought he was talking about FTR, which that would have been hilarious. But in walks Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. And Megan Bayne takes the lead, saying, "Any ring I'm in, you don't stand a chance. Put every one of you in your... I'm going to put every one of you in your place." So, Megan Bayne joining up with FTR. That's actually a pretty good move. So next up, we see right outside the locker room, it's Brodito. You'll have Brody King helping Bandito to the back. Interviewer stops them with Bandito saying, "I'm not here to make excuses. This loss was because of me." Then Brody kind of gives him a really weird, dirty look. And he says, "That's why I like you, Bandito. You never stop fighting. We suffer to return harder. And we have the best wrestler on the planet on our team. And we'll leave Wrestle Dream still tag team champions." I love the energy Brody King brings to wrestling. He is just so good. Not just in the ring, but out of it as well. And man, that tag title match is going to be fun. I can't wait. Which leads us to our main event of the evening, in which this is the 5th time these guys have faced each other in a one-on-one match. You got the Bastard Pac taking on Orange Cassidy. And we start kind of feeling out, Pac tripping up Orange Cassidy. Tried locking him in a crossface, but Cassidy gets out of it. Cassidy tries to increase the pace a little, but Pac immediately just stops him. After a impressive arm drag, Cassidy with a big Rana goes for some shoulder moves. That misses. Cassidy with a cross body goes for a dive on the outside. That gets caught into a Falcon Arrow, which that was impressive. Get back in the ring. Pac with a drop kick. Then a big elbow. They trade big boots for a second. Then Cassidy with some with his like weak little kicks that turn up the intensity. And Cassidy with a big old PK. Then at that point, Cassidy was on the top rope. Pac then pulls an Orange Cassidy from like the first match they had at was that Revolution or was that something else? I forget. Where Pac rolls out of the ring. Cassidy with a big dive. Attempted DDT that gets caught. Pac attempts a super suplex that gets blocked immediately into a stun dog millionaire. Cassidy follows it up with a diving DDT. And then an orange punch, which that was interesting. Cassidy then brings Pac over to the the timekeeper's table. Puts him up on the table. Big old trust fall from the top. Through the timekeeper's table. Cassidy gets Pac back in. Hits a DDT and an orange punch for a 2 count. Then Pac again rolls outside of the ring. It looks like he's about to bail on the match. Cassidy chases him. Pac sees him. Heads to the bleachers where the Young Bucks were sitting. Cassidy follows him. Pac with a bit of a low kick. Hits a pile driver, which sends Cassidy tumbling down the stairs. As Pac was going to follow up on this, you see Darby Allin from backstage lock Pac in a pair of handcuffs on the foot to the guardrail. Cassidy gets back in the ring. Either Pac breaks the cuffs or Darby unlocks him. Pac nearly beats the 10 count. Cassidy with an immediate roll-up for the win. This brings out Darby Allin. It looks like he wants all of Pac. Pac goes to run off. But Darby Allin then sprays something in his face, which is weird. The rest of the Death Riders come out. Darby then runs out of the arena for a little bit. Death Riders are in pursuit. Pan the camera. You see Darby Allin holding a Molotov cocktail. Now, it's not lit, thank God. But before he can light it, a security guard, which, brave of you, my dude, tackles Darby and keeps him from throwing it. And security keeps Darby and the Death Riders separate to end the show. Darby is kind of becoming a little suicidal, and I am not digging it a little. But I'm also digging the just completely nuts take we're having with Darby Allin. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm not sure if I love it. I don't hate it, but I'm not sure if I like it. You know what I mean? It's a weird scale there that I guess he's willing to do anything to win the match at Wrestle Dream versus Mox, but like it seems like his default is setting people on fire. Like, dude had a flamethrower at one point, which is insane. Anyway, yeah, that was the end of Dynamite. I'm gonna say it was really, really good, even though the ratings say otherwise. I had fun with it. I'm willing to see where this is gonna go, especially at Wrestle Dream. We got the go home to Wrestle Dream this week. It is a joint 3-hour Dynamite / Collision. So, to anyone watching online, at the 10 o'clock hour, you do have to change from watching Dynamite to Collision. Like, you gotta do that manually, apparently, which is weird. Anyway, like I said, that was Dynamite. My only real issue is that we didn't have a ton of fun stuff on the show. But I'm willing to... I'm willing to let it get by because we are having a little bit more focus for the pay-per-view. So that was Dynamite. Now we got NWA Power, which, honestly, definitely an interesting build to NWA 77, I believe we're coming up to, which, yeah, that's nuts. We start off with Kelsey Heather making her return to the NWA. I believe she made her debut last year, but didn't stick around long. And she takes on number one contender, Natalia Markova. Now, honestly, I thought this was just going to be a quick one-and-done matchup. This was surprisingly really competitive. And it made Kelsey Heather look like $1,000,000. Like, even in a loss. Spoiler alert. But, yeah, this was nuts. This was a well-paced, entertaining matchup with Markova hitting the beautiful destruction kick and then following up with a DDT, which, honestly, that's kind of interesting. Kind of switching up finishers a little bit with Markova picking up the win. Then we see Markova extending her hand to Heather and help her up, which I do like that little bit of sportsmanship from the competitors. Then next we get highlights of the Kazanas tag team match from like a month ago, which honestly I like the Country Gentlemen. They are entertaining. Then we get a Tommy Henry / Hunter promo. Apparently Tommy Henry is the GM of Kenzie Page's promotion, which is interesting. And he says, how many times does she need to beat you, Markova? Anyway, I'm not worried about you two. I'm worried more about the Country Gentlemen. I got the attention of JCP. And we're going to take you down tonight. So, that's going to be an interesting inter-promotional matchup a little later on. Then we get like a video promo from Eric Smalls with highlights of him getting his butt kicked from Knox and Murdoch, where he says, I don't care who I got. I'm taking one of you out. And I'm going to do it my way. So, Eric Smalls, short, sweet, to the point promo. Then we get a recap of last week's reading of the will segment, which I still don't get what's going on here. Anyway, so then we go back to Gobert Isles with the head guy, I don't know, determined who's still qualified for the money of the deceased. Eric Stevens still in. Tyler Franks. Paige and Hunter is still in. But man who's out is Brian Idol. So he stands up. He gets right into the guy's face. Says, ugh, who the heck is this guy? I'm out. The Henrys aren't even here. They don't deserve it. So then the auctioneer, or whatever you call him, says, so Kenzie doesn't deserve it? Idol pauses. And then we fade to black. That's going to be actually going to be an interesting segment once we get back to it. I am still not sure what the heck is going on with this. I'm not sure who passed. I'm not sure if this is like some weird test or something. But I think it's time to get to the point. Anyway, next matchup. Very interesting. Big man versus little man dynamic. As it's JAC making his debut for the NWA. Taking on Colby Corino. And at first, JAC absolutely overpowers Colby. Colby fights back every now and again, hitting a face slam, hitting an impressive looking swanton bomb. Then with a big backstabber, neckbreaker combination, only getting 2. He attempts a superplex that gets blocked into a big powerbomb from JAC. Only gets a 2 count. JAC attempts a DDT that gets blocked into an enziguri. A DDT from Kobe. And an L-driver, which that was impressive, to pick up the win. And then post-match is very, very interesting. You see Aaron Stevens and Carson Drake, they're on the apron of the ring. Colby bailed. Then Stevens says, let's have it for Junior Corino, always in the shadow of his father, who apparently is in the building, which is ballsy, Cotton. So Stevens continues, well, now that Kobe has left the building and fell into oblivion, this man has finally accepted to take my advice, but before he can continue, out comes the sinister minister. Father James Mitchell, whatever you want to call him. So they all get in the ring. Minister says, Stevens, you are a liar, a cheat, a coward, and a con artist. You, sir, are low-life scum to poison. You're a man who would poison a blind man's dog and take his cane. But you still have a negative side, which that absolutely got me. That broke me a little bit. That was funny. Minister continues, you're in my way, on my toes, on my turf. There is only room in hell for one sinner. So Stevens replies, one of us has to go. Allow me to introduce myself. Then he just starts rapping out of nowhere, which I'm going to say that was impressive. I had no idea what he said because I'm a little slow. But yeah, that was impressive. Stevens continues, I am by far the smartest man in this industry. You've been around for a long time. However, I will accept your challenge. But for right now, BFT isn't here tonight. But I have a lot of people in my back pocket. So we'll pick teams and get to a fight. So a little team war for Aaron Stevens' side. And then also James Mitchell's boys. Which could be interesting. We then get a bloody recap of Knox and Murdoch's attack on Eric Smalls last week. We then cut to the alleyway behind the arena or whatever it was, where we got Knox and Murdoch talking. And they're like joking around about the threats Eric Smalls made. Saying, no, he really stacked the deck against us. You're going to leave me out there alone to fend for myself? Eric Smalls is crazy. Knox, a little overly dramatic, says he instills fear in all people. So Murdoch turns to the camera, says, Smalls, I will accept your challenge. So be ready. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. We then go back to Bit Crush, which apparently is like either it's a gaming store or it's a comic shop. I'm not 100% sure who it is. So you have the register worker, I forget their name, and not Selena De La Renta. Tiffany Nieves, that's who it is. So the guy working the register says, so how's it going with him? Nieves says, who? Register says, Vic. Tiffany says, oh, it's going good. Register guy then says, I don't believe you. Then Tiffany counters, oh, he's so positive. But what, register guy then says, but what does this have to do with your wrestling? So Tiffany kind of looks over her shoulder at Vic, who is like doing inventory or whatever the heck he's doing, just out of earshot. And Tiffany says, I always have a plan. He knows everything about I know everything about winning. And if he wants an explanation of what's going on, I'll be happy to give it to him. So it does look like Tiffany Nieves is gaslighting Vic, who was in charge of the, like, whatever seminar segment there was a little early on the NWA on Roku era. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens there. Then we get this intense promo from El Dragon Nihan, who apparently is Tom Latimer's next opponent, which, that's crazy. So El Dragon says, I heard you're looking for competition. I have arrived. You're world traveled. I'm a dragon, and I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to take everything from you, and there's something talking through me now. I am the dragon and the fire that consumes all. I love stuff like this. I honestly hope this guy gets a fair shake at the NWA title, because he's intense. Next up, we got the semi-main event, and it's for the NWA Women's title, which is a little odd, but I understand why. You have Kenzie Page defending against Carissa Rivera. Now, if you don't know that name, that is the former Elektra Lopez. She managed Legado del Fantasma for a bit before she got released. Now she's a free agent. And, yeah, it's interesting seeing her in the NWA. I'll admit this matchup started off a little rough. Rivera definitely had a little rust. However, once it got going a little bit more, she showed some more of her power. At one point, Rivera was looking for a chokeslam. That gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Kenzie then with a super kick, and then a neck breaker to pick up the win. And then at that point, you see Kenzie Page walk over to commentary table, because doing commentary during this match was her opponent, Natalia Markova. They have a little stare down. Then Kenzie walks off to the back. So, yeah, entertaining match. Definitely a little clunky to get started, but eventually it did get really, really good. And fine Alamo, we got some territory battles going on. as we got Tommy Hunter and Hunter period taking on the Country Gentlemen. And yeah, you definitely had the Country Gentlemen playing with their food a little bit with Tommy Hunter, who is, I guess, an old school wrestler. I don't think I've ever seen him. He definitely got some good shots in as a brawler, but he then gets overwhelmed by the Country Gentlemen. Eventually, he does tag in Hunter, who, honestly, I kind of forgotten how good Hunter is, flying around everywhere. But eventually, Country Gentlemen get a little help from their dad with hitting them with the book. But then everything starts to break down, in which you see all four men brawling to the back. And then in, like, Gorilla, I assume, or maybe it's like some break room somewhere. It looks like a warehouse. Country Gentlemen break out some chairs. Bunch of chair shots. AJ Kazana then hits Hunter with a pizza box. That was funny. Then I think this was Kylie Page trying to stop the Country Gentlemen. But then Joe hits Kylie with the book. AJ with a cross chop to Hunter. And then Country Gentlemen put Tommy Hunter and Hunter into a couple of sleepers until they pass out. The Kazanas let go and they walk off. So, yeah, I guess we're getting into some territory battles for NWA 77, which I am definitely for stuff like that. We'll see how that goes. Again, a kind of another mixed bag for NWA, along with AEW Dynamite. Was it an entertaining show? Yes. But I will admit, some matches were a little clunky, some segments were a little off, but it was still very, very entertaining. So, yeah, that is it from me. I hope you all enjoyed. Coming up this week, I will cover both NWA and then AEW Dynamite / Collision, which is the 3-hour show on Wednesday. I'll probably be doing that on Monday, because over the weekend I am going to have some plans, because it is my birthday on Sunday. So, wish me some happy birthdays in the comments. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.